Hello and welcome back to Language, Culture, and Dr. Lou. And of course, today I think I have a special treat for you. It's called When Signs Go Bad, and it's a bunch of pretty funny mistranslations. And I guess one message here is do not trust machine translations. And by machine translations, I mean things like internet translation services like Yahoo Translate and Google Translate and all of that, because the truth is they're wrong about 25% of the time. So those odds are not good, and you end up with things that are translated terribly. And what's the harm? The harm in that is if you give somebody a terrible translation and they don't know the language themselves, they're going to spread it around as if it's true and if it will be helpful to somebody who speaks the other language. Now, on the other hand, lucky for us English speakers, you have a lot of countries welcoming English speaking tourists. And so thankfully, they're willing to put a lot of signage in English to help us out. But sadly, machine translations have ruined a lot of this. And lucky you can see right here in this picture, this is from Japan. So this is a poor translation from Japanese into English and Asiatic languages. It's very hard to translate between these and English. And Japanese would be one of them. And so this one I find really funny because what the heck does that mean? The moon ultra parking is being recruited. So I'm trying to find my way. I landed in an airport in Tokyo. I'm trying to find my way around, and the moon ultra parking is being recruited. Useless. I have no idea what that would mean. And so it's pretty funny in that case, if you take a step back and imagine you're not a confused tourist in that spot, it makes you wonder what the heck moon ultra parking is and um, what does it even mean to recruit parking? Anyway, and I do wonder, I wished I had gotten a picture of the other translation right next to it. I wonder what from the station for 0 minutes. Uh, that probably a bad translation too. Anyway, so let's move on to another Asiatic language. Let's go to China now. So if you can imagine it, there was this time a Chinese restaurant owner, a man who owned a Chinese restaurant. He wanted to make a sign for his restaurant to welcome English speaking tourists. And when he translated the name of the restaurant from, I don't know if it was in Mandarin or what other dialect of Chinese or what other Chinese language itself, um, and it tried to translate that from into English, and it made a computer error. And so what it printed out was translate server error. And so um, that's what he printed out and used on the sign. And guess what? This has happened more than once. There are more than one places in China where you will see a sign that says translate server error, and that doesn't help the English speaker whatsoever. We have no clue. So my recommendation is if you're traveling to China, go with someone who speaks the language, or at least learn a little bit of it yourself so you can recognize the Chinese symbols for restaurant, for instance. That would be helpful. But anyway, translate server error, not helpful, but it's kind of funny that we have so many different things being translated as translate server error. Anyway, and so what other areas of tourism have translation problems? Well, in Norway, there's a cocktail lounge where one policy there, it's there's a little translated sign on the wall that says ladies are requested not to have children in the bar, right? If you're going to have a baby, go to the a maternity wing of a local hospital or something. That's what sort of comes to mind with that. And also, if the ladies cannot have children in the bar, yeah, that makes me wonder. Yeah, if they're not meaning babies but children, would it be okay for the men to have children in the bar? Anyway, it makes you wonder. And so elsewhere in dining and going out, restaurants, all of that, there are other translation issues. And so where else, if you're traveling around in Switzerland, there's a restaurant in Switzerland that has a translated uh motto, I guess, a saying in the menu, and it says, "Our wines leave you nothing to hope for." To me, that would be like, what? Why are your wines trying to make me hopeless? That doesn't sound good at all. And I'm not sure which language this was translated from because Switzerland has, of course, three official languages, German, Italian, and French. So I have a hard time imagining, um, imagining that in that this would come from France, but I don't know. I don't know which language it came from, and I'm a little surprised by people who speak Western languages that are so similar to English. Would have a saying that weird on the menu, but it is funny that wines would leave you nothing to hope for. What are they assuming you're a sad drunk? Anyway, so what else, if you're traveling around, might be a problem with translation if a business owner uses a machine translator? How about this restaurant where I would feel so glad with this guarantee that our food is guaranteed not to cause pregnancy, right? That would make me feel so good, right? At least, for sure there's no viable semen in the food. So there you go. That's one thing that I never want in my food. So yeah. But can you imagine? It makes you wonder what the heck rumors were going around that made them have to print up a sign like this that says, "Oh, our food will not get you pregnant." Anyway, and so I guess let's go outside of restaurants and foods. Um, if you're going shopping, and this is from a sign outside of a dress store in Paris, France, which is a place, Paris is a great place to go buy clothing, of course. They're very known for their fashion. And so imagine seeing a sign that says dresses for street walking. That to me is funny because an English speaker would never really use this term because streetwalkers, what are these dresses for prostitutes? Is this the store that Julia Roberts should have gone to in Pretty Woman if she wanted service? Anyway, so yeah, dresses for street walking. So yeah, it's not just restaurants and airports that haven't and that are having issues with their translation services. You've also got stores. And so moving on to hotels, there's a lot of really funny translated policies and signage in hotels. And this is a hotel, we're still in Paris, France, and it says, "Welcome. Please leave your values at the front desk." And I just love that. Leave your values at the front desk. What is that like? Oh, what happens in Paris stays in Paris kind of a deal? Or, and by the way, there's rumored to also be a hotel in Pakistan that has the same mistranslated message to their guests. Please leave your values at the front desk. But I love that this sign exists in a hotel in Paris, France, because France, of course, is the country that brought us the libertines, and they are people who would check their values at the front desk for sure. Anyway, so yeah, so again, if you're visiting the Hotel Kuntz in Paris, please be sure to check your values at the front desk. And so, what about a hotel in Bucharest that seems like a good idea to give your guests warning that the elevator is under repair so they can't use it? But how do they put it? The lift is being fixed for the next day. During that time, we regret that you will be unbearable. So what the heck are they trying to say like by that? I mean, yes, sir, it gets the message that the elevator isn't working because it's being fixed, but is it also saying, but don't complain about it to us because we won't be able to take it, you know? Anyway, so that is uh delightful. And so I wanted to sort of end up this list with more hotel mistranslations from three additional countries around the world, none of which speak English as an official language. And so in Athens, so we're in Greece, in a hotel in Athens, Greece, it says visitors are expected to complain at the office between the hours of 9 and 11 a.m. daily. It's nice that they're welcoming all that feedback and everything, but what are you really saying? You're saying you expect us to complain? You're kind of like the hotel in Bucharest that said, well, we will be unbearable, right? Anyway, but yeah, that's funny that they're welcoming feedback, but they're pretty much accusing everybody of being complainers at the same time. And in Yugoslavia, okay, there's a Yugoslavian hotel where it has the strangest message. The flattening of underwear with pleasure is the job of the chambermaid. That, as a native English speaker, it makes you wonder, how do you flatten underwear with pleasure? You know, what exactly is the chambermaid up to there? What are her flattening techniques? Because obviously they're not talking about an iron. She's flattening it with pleasure. And finally, the last one I saw is possibly the most worrisome of them all in a Japanese hotel. I think it's in Tokyo. Um, but I can't remember exactly which city. I think Tokyo, but definitely in Japan. It says you're invited to take advantage of the chambermaid. No, so this is clearly a mistranslation because well, an English speaker wouldn't really say that because, taking advantage of people, especially of servants and all that, has such horrible connotations. But if you step back a minute, it's pretty funny that you're invited to take advantage of the chambermaid. Anyway, so that's a lot of things gone awry. And so the message here is if you need any document translated, find a person, a professional, a real life person to do this for you because machines will butcher it and butcher it badly a lot of the time. And also, yeah, mistranslation has been happening ever since languages existed. So not all people do it perfectly, but we certainly have to worry that AI seems to be making translations worse because it's handing out terrible translations to people who don't know any better, who don't know the difference. So again, I hope you enjoyed some of these funny translations. I like the moon ultra parking especially, but anyway, so thank you so much for watching my video. I appreciate everyone who watches the video to the very end, so please do also give it a thumbs up. And if you're not subscribed to the channel yet, please do. It would help me out so much. So until the next video, see you around then. See you around next time. Bye-bye.